All right. Hello and welcome. Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for being here. My name's Otis Landerholm, and you are tuning in right now for the Empowered Immigrant Live. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate each of you. My topic for today is what is happening to asylum law in 2026. And I asked this question, what are ACAs? And so we'll touch base about what ACAs are. And so welcome and thank you all very, very much for being here. Whether you're tuning in right now on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, or TikTok, welcome and thank you so much for being here. Okay, so remember, the Empowered Immigrant Live is here to train, teach, inspire, and empower immigrants to make the most out of immigration laws and to make the most out of their lives. All right, and today our theme is what is happening to asylum, and that is to asylum law right now in 2026. And my question, as always, for you is, do you want to apply for a green card? Do you want to apply for citizenship? Do you want to apply for asylum or a U visa or VAWA? Or do you want to figure out, hey, what is the best strategy? What is the best approach? What is the best option? What's the best solution for you, for your life, to up-level your life through immigration laws? Because if that's your question, my response is go for it. Get that advice. Get those answers, all right? And I'd love to help you with that in any way that I can. My law firm is on a mission to win 10,000 immigration cases in the next 10 years, and we would love for your case to be one of them, all right? So thank you for being here. Welcome. Before we jump really into it, you've seen in the news, it's like what all the news stations are talking about this week is the conflict that is happening with Iran and the United States. And it's like, man, there's always something. With this administration, there's always something. And my heart goes out to the people that are affected. And it's very possible that it could be all of us that are affected, but there are people that are much more affected than personally affected than just like the global economy, right? And so my heart goes out to those individuals. If that's you, I wish you peace. I wish you hope for a better future ahead. Okay. So I want to get into our topic. And our topic that I want to discuss is what is happening to asylum cases. And to share that, I want to tell you a story. Okay. Last week, I was with a father and his wife and their daughter here in my office. And they had fled their country because he had received some serious death threats. A violent group actually shot bullets at their home, all right, and made more personal death threats to various members of their family. So much so that they feared for their lives and they fled and they left their country. They made their way to the United States. They entered the US in 2023, all right? And they filed their asylum case. They filed on time, all right? After 6 months, they submitted an application for their work permits. They received their work permits. Everything was fine. Everything was in order, okay? Until January 2nd of this year, all right? So I should say they've got their work permits and they've been checking in with ICE. And all of their check-ins with ICE have been just fine. But then on January 2nd of this year, they went in with their lawyer, not a lawyer in my firm, all right? They went into a master calendar hearing in immigration court with their lawyer, just a normal master calendar hearing. And at that hearing, the Department of Homeland Security's lawyer, all right, the lawyers for the government, filed what's called a motion to pre-termit their case. A motion saying, you're not eligible for asylum. You can't file this. Why? Because the Trump administration has entered into an agreement with, for this individual, it was with Honduras and Ecuador. Okay. And so there's these other agreements saying, hey, the government of Honduras and the government of Ecuador is willing to hear their asylum cases first. So let's deport this family to Honduras and Ecuador, or Ecuador. And that's what the government's lawyer filed in court. Now, unfortunately, the client's lawyer that they had with them that day was not ready for this. Their lawyer didn't know what to say. So their lawyer didn't oppose the motion. The lawyer hadn't been reading that these changes have been happening, right? Their lawyer wasn't ready for it. And because of that, and also because they had a tough judge, the judge granted the government's motion right then and there on the spot, pre-termitted the asylum case, and ordered that family removed to either Honduras or Ecuador. Okay? That's what these asylum cooperative agreements are saying. And then after that happened January 2nd for this particular family. Then after that, their lawyer tried to get into action, realized that he had made a mistake, right? And filed a motion to reopen their case, saying, wait a second, these people have received death threats. These people have a real asylum claim. They need to be heard, right? Like, let's reopen this case. But in their motion to reopen, their lawyer didn't address the issues with Ecuador and Honduras, the issues that are central to the asylum cooperative agreement. And so the judge denied the motion to reopen. So then this lawyer filed another motion to reopen. It was denied a second time. And now they have an ICE check-in. Now they've got a deportation order signed against them, multiple denied motions to reopen against them, and they've got an ICE check-in coming up next week. And they come into my office. All right? They come panicking, nervous. What do we do? They could be detained. They could be removed from the US, even though they have a valid claim for asylum. Even though they've done their whole process correctly when they first entered. They've got a work permit. All right? Isn't that crazy? So what do you do in that situation? What do you do? Here is what I recommended. All right? What I recommended is that we try one additional motion to reopen, and we argue that the lawyer messed up, which is true in their case. All right? We show that there was, quote unquote, ineffective assistance of counsel, because there was ineffective assistance of counsel in this case. And inside of that motion, we also respond to this motion to pre-termit fully with evidence that the client's lives would be in danger in Honduras and Ecuador. All right? But they have to know that motion, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be a mountain of work. We've got to do it before your ICE check-in next week. And it's probably going to be denied because you have a very tough judge, unfortunately. So we're going to need to be ready to appeal it. And the BIA is becoming worse on appeals. So we're going to need to appeal it again. And all of this means just like they're in a horrible situation and their case is getting more and more difficult and complicated by the moment. And we've got a mountain of work that we're going to need to do very soon in order to give them a hope or an opportunity to stay in the United States longer, or they could be removed next week. And it's just horrible. All right. So this is the conversation that I had with them. And they're thinking about, what do they want to do? What would you do in this situation? It's just awful. And so why do I share this with you? All right. For me, it's very frustrating to be in this situation, and I can feel their fear and frustration. It's like, clients, you have done it correctly, aside from putting your case in the hands of a lawyer who was an idiot, who did not know what he was doing. Aside from that, you've done your process correctly. It's actually not your fault, client. It's actually the United States' fault. Like, the United States right now, in the United States right now, we are turning our backs on asylum seekers. This situation demonstrates we are violating international law. We are violating international human rights law. So let's talk about the rights to due process that all people are guaranteed by the US Constitution, right? This whole situation is not okay. It needs to change. All right? It's not fair. It's not right. It's not good. It needs to change. And also, if you're hearing me right now, and if you're an immigrant, and if you've filed for asylum, and if you have a hearing coming up, like, you need to make sure that your lawyer knows what they're doing. And you need to make sure that your lawyer knows how to respond to these types of things. And it can at least be prepared and help you understand what you can do. All right? And that's just the truth. Okay? So I wanted to share that story. I hope that's useful. I hope that's helpful. That's what I wanted to communicate with you today. That family situation breaks my heart, and they are not alone, right? This is happening throughout the United States, and it's happening every day in immigration courts right now. And so you got to be ready for it. Okay? The best advice that I can give is, don't go alone. All right? Don't go alone, and don't go with an amateur. Get support. All right, get a team behind you, get empowered through this immigration process. Like, that is the government is going to try to disempower us at every step of the process. And so we've got to work to fight as best as we can against that and in your favor. All right, and that's just the reality. So that's what I wanted to share. Thank you all very much for being here. Thank you all very much for being here. And so let me answer your questions. If you have questions about your immigration case, please feel free to submit them. I'll do my best to answer them right here, right now, live. And if you're just tuning in right now, hey, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. My name's Otis Landerholm. I'm the founding attorney at Landerholm Immigration, A.P.C, where we fight for your American dream. And let's get into it. All right. Vale vi la vida. All right. Or vale vi la vida. La vida. So your question is, thank you for being here. You say, if I filed for an I-485 but haven't done the medical exam, what can I do to fix that? Well, there are options in how to fix that. And thank you for saying that. One option is, and really the best advice is, talk it through with your lawyer, because different field offices might address this slightly differently. All right. So one thing that I have seen, and during the pandemic, this was very common. We would hold off, and right before your interview, have you get the medical exam, and we would take it in and hand it to the officer in your interview. All right. Sometimes the government could reject the case, saying that you're missing a medical exam, and then you'll want to go get the medical exam done and resubmit it. But if you have receipt notices, then your case is pending. Okay, good. If you receive either an RFE, which is a request for evidence, or sometimes they call it an RFIE, which is a request for initial evidence, then that might request the medical exam and you can respond with that. Some lawyers will suggest taking your receipt notice, getting the medical exam done now, and sending it in. And the concern that I have with that is it sometimes can cause a delay and sometimes can get lost. All right. And so talk to your lawyer, depending on where you're located, to see what the best advice for your situation would be. But if you were me and if you were in the San Francisco Bay Area, if you were my client and if you were in the San Francisco Bay Area, and especially if you have receipt notices that your case has already been filed, what I would do in your situation is actually nothing for now. And I would wait until you have an interview and I would get the medical exam done. All right. And take it with you to the interview and hand it to the officer. I've done that in the past. I'm not guaranteeing that that would work right now under the Trump administration. They might send an RFE. They could even reject the case. If that happens, you might need to refile it. It might cause delays. It might cause delays for your work permit, etc. But I have seen that work. Okay. So I hope that's useful. I hope that's helpful. I'm sorry that you're in that situation. All right. Joe Ba 3400. I see your question here. You say, hello, sir. I have an asylum interview next Monday at the New York Asylum office. I have a strong case and an exception to the 1 year deadline. Been in the US for 12 years. I'm worried. I'm from a red list country. Thanks. So, don't go alone. Okay. Don't go alone. It's my best advice. All right. So, I wish you the very best of luck with your asylum interview next Monday. And if you have a 1 year bar issue, even if you say it's a quote unquote strong exception, then it's very possible that they will issue a notice to appear and you'll need to go fight about it in immigration court. That does not happen immediate. You'll want to take your evidence, take all your originals, review everything that's been done in your case, your declaration, your forms, make sure that they're accurate, make sure that you walk in with any updates that may be necessary if information has changed since you originally filed your case, which often is the situation. And so just be ready to answer those questions. Okay, I recommend practicing re-explaining your story, re-explaining your fear of returning to your country, really understand, what was put in the past. Everything that you say in that interview is on the record, and you don't want it to contradict anything that's been filed in the past in your case. Okay? Best of luck. All right. So tumbleweeds are real. I see what you're saying here. Thank you for being here and welcome. So you say some lawyers just don't follow the news and don't update themselves according to the current situation. You're so right. And the other thing is there are lawyers who dabble in a lot of different areas, right? There's lawyers that, oh, I'm a real estate lawyer, but I'll take an asylum case. Sure. If you pay me for it, sure, I'll go with you to that hearing. Right? Or maybe they're like a divorce lawyer. And oh, sure, I can help you handle that one hearing on that day. It's just a master calendar hearing. And they're not really dedicated to the issues that people are facing. And sometimes it causes a serious disaster. All right. Serious disaster. Tumbleweeds are real. You say, isn't the U.S. sending troops or something to Ecuador? There's a lot of movement. That's a good question. I'm not familiar with them sending troops to Ecuador unless there's something in the news from today. I haven't seen that, but yeah, there is definitely a lot of movement happening in that region with with the situation in Venezuela and with all the other geopolitical issues that are happening in our world right now. It's like we're living in a very, very volatile time in history, right? Aren't we? And so yeah, that is the reality. All right, Kiara Haze, you say, how long does it usually take a federal judge to make a decision on a habeas after all reply deadlines? Very difficult question to answer. Every judge will be different. The biggest question is, was there a motion for a temporary restraining order or what we call a preliminary injunction? Those two things have different timelines. All right. So a motion for a temporary restraining order typically moves very fast. All right. But if it's just a motion for a writ, like a petition for habeas corpus, that can take months. And so you want to, talk it through with your lawyer. It depends on which district, which judge, and it depends on what precisely has been filed in your habeas case. All right. So wish you the best with that. Okay. Colette, I see you here. You say, thanks, sir. Hey, you're welcome. Thank you so much for being here. All right. R&D Handyman Services, LLC. You say, hola, abogado. ¿A los cuántos meses viene el permiso de trabajo después de los biométricos con un caso de VAWA? How many months does it take to receive a work permit after the biometrics on a VAWA case? So you got to make sure that you submitted the I-765, que es la aplicación, the application for your work permit. That's one. You got to make sure that's in the packet. All right. And, if you applied for adjustment of status as a one-step adjustment along with your VAWA, then typically the biometrics takes place within the first 90 days. Typically, the work permit comes after about 5 to 7 months after you submitted the case. All right, if it's filed as a one-step adjustment of status with your VAWA case. If you just filed the I-360 VAWA petition, but not the full adjustment of status, then you've got to wait for there to be a prima facie eligibility determination before they can issue the work permit. And so that's a nuance. If you're not sure which way you filed it, talk it through with your lawyer. All right, but I hope that's useful and helpful information. Okay, so, and thank you for being here. Gracias. Thank you very much for being here. All right, Monse, I see your question here. First time applicant case for DACA. All right, all right. Thank you for being here and really appreciate your being here. Zemo X Inc. You say, my asylum court hearing is on May 1st. It's been pending since 2018, and I got married last year to a green card holder, and I filed my I-130. I had a lawyer helping me out. Okay, cool. Cool. I got that. So a lot of moving parts there. So the question will be, could you switch gears and use that I-130 to adjust status in immigration court? The answer there is probably not, unless you have entered, probably not, all right, directly, because even if you entered on a visa, your spouse is a green card holder, all right? He's an LPR, lawful permanent resident, according to what you've said. So when your spouse is a lawful permanent resident, you have to be currently in status and have never violated the terms of your status. But if that's true, then you wouldn't be in removal proceedings, all right? Yeah. So my guess is you will not be able to just switch gears and withdraw the asylum application and move forward on the marriage-based case in your immigration court case. You're going to need to have your spouse file to become a citizen, and you're going to need your green card to get approved, and then you can do all this. Okay. So hope that's useful and helpful. Double check everything that I've said with your lawyer. It says that you have a lawyer that's helping you. So that's great. All right. And thank you for being here. All right, Kiara. So you say, yes, there's a TRO in place. So if you filed a habeas, is this a habeas to release of someone from detention? Has that person been released? Was that TRO effective? All right. Often with a TRO, we get the person out of detention. All right. Like I'll give you an example. All right. I had a client who was detained like on the second week of November. All right. Then the second week of November of 2025. All right. Then the client's family hired my firm in the beginning of December of 2025 to file a habeas. Okay. We filed the habeas, I want to say on December maybe 12th, something like that. And we filed a TRO, a motion for a temporary restraining order, asking that the judge restrain the government and release our client immediately. All right. The judge demanded and required a reply brief from the government within 1 week of my filing that TRO. The government filed, we opposed it the next day. We replied and opposed their response the next day. The judge granted our TRO and required that the client be released by Christmas Eve. Okay, so the client was detained the second week of November. The client was released and was home on Christmas Eve to be able to spend Christmas with his family. All right. After he was released, then we briefed the habeas. All right, there was still ongoing work about the underlying habeas petition. And now I think, was it 2 weeks ago? We got the order that we won. We won the habeas case. All right, so November through like February 16th, I think was the date that we got the order signed by the judge. Habeas, you guys won. All right. And now we're exploring whether or not we want to sue the government for our attorney's fees for that case. All right. And so that's to give you in a sense, Kiara, of the timeline. But the TR, like if the question is how soon to get them out of custody, that's depending on your TRO. Okay. That's the way that works. So, AWALS 7175, I see you there. My understanding, you're saying what? Kristi Noem was just fired? What? So I have seen news that that Trump is considering firing Kristi Noem, but I have not seen that she has actually been fired. And if I'm not, if you're seeing news uh, that's like right at the moment, I haven't seen anything right right now, but I have seen news. Well, yeah, 11 minutes ago here, Trump says Mark Wayne Mullen will replace Kristi Noem as DHS secretary. Wow. Wow, I see it. I see it. Oh, that's big news. All right, AWALS, thank you for saying that. 11 minutes ago. Man, you're on top of it. Thank you for being here and sharing that. Ooh, I'll have to do like a breaking news video about this and get to the bottom of it. So thank you very much for pointing that out to me. Yeah, everybody. I guess Trump has officially announced that he will replace Kristi Noem and that she will no longer be the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security. That is wonderful. All right, we like that. So I don't know who this other person is, though. Mark Wayne Mullen. We'll see if he's any better. Don't hold your breath on that. But I will look into it and I'll do videos about it. AWALS, thank you so much for being here and sharing that. Okay, let's see. Coach Guile Light, Arizona. All right, you say, I have a coach in my soccer club that came here on a student visa and would like to stay here. Is there any pathway? Maybe. All right, maybe. So when people come in on student visas, if there is, it depends on their, um, it depends on lots of different things. The best advice for that person is they should do a consultation. All right, they could do it with our firm if they want to, and depending on their like pathway through school and whether or not they're still on their student visa, all right, they might consider talking with an immigration lawyer that focuses on employment-based visas, because sometimes student visa holders can request things like H-1B visas to allow them to stay in the United States under a work visa category. Those are increasingly difficult, but they might consider exploring those options as well. All right. In my office, they could explore things like asylum, things like U visas, things like VAWA cases, things like marriage-based cases, and we could get to the bottom of whether, deportation defense, whether or not there's any of those types of services that could help your person. Good. Zemo X Inc., you say she's due for citizenship in 2028. I think I missed something there. Oh, yeah, your spouse. Okay, got that. She's due for citizenship in 2028. And thanks for your advice. Okay, good. All right, good. So what might happen is you might file a motion to continue your case and see how long it gets pushed out for if the judge is willing to continue it. They might not be. But you might need to move forward full speed ahead on your asylum case. If you win asylum, great, you win asylum. If you lose asylum, then you might need to appeal. And if you lose that appeal, you might need to appeal again. And that process could very well take longer than just 2028. And if your spouse becomes a US citizen in the meantime, now that higher appeal, you could do a motion to remand because there's a change in circumstances and then adjust status through your spouse. All right. That's a long process, but that can work. All right. So anyway, you want, you want to be able to work with a team that can help you navigate things like that. But that's the way to do it. Okay. So I think, okay, yeah, Coach Jael Light from Arizona. He's from Ghana. Okay, cool. That's great. That's great. So yeah, feel free to reach out. That's great. And he is an athlete and he's played in Syracuse. Okay, and GCU. Okay, cool. That's great. But the athlete thing is probably not going to get him a green card. All right. The question is there some other way to get him immigration status? Right. And so just being straightforward with you. All right, yeah, AWOLs. You're saying it's on every news outlet right now. Okay, all right. Well, hey, thank you for being here with me right now instead of on that news outlet. But I am curious to get over there and see what's going on. That's really great. So cool. And then Raj, you say I-130 approved on the same day of the interview, but the I-485 is pending for a week. Hey, congratulations on getting your I-130 approved. And now the question about your I-485, yeah, give it some time. Talk to your lawyer if there's any red flags or whatever that you should be cautious of. But I'll cross my fingers for you and hope that gets approved here, just shortly. All right, you guys. Christy Nome has been fired. That's amazing. That's amazing. All right. Thank you all so much for being here. I really appreciate each of you. All right. My name's Otis Landerholm. If this content was useful, if it was helpful, please subscribe to our channel. Please like or give us a thumbs up to our video in our channel. Please check us out on YouTube. I really appreciate each and every one of you. And if my office can help you with your immigration case, hey, please feel free to reach out. We're here to help. We'd love to help. We're just a phone call away. All right. So my name's Otis Landerholm, Landerholm Immigration, APC, where we fight for your American dream. Hope you have a great day, and we'll see you next time on our next episode of the Empowered Immigrant Live. All right. Thanks a lot, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.